Hello everyone, welcome to my course. In this lecture you will learn about some of the basics. Hacking and hackers. The word hacking normally conjures images of a long cyber criminal hunched over a computer and transferring money at will from an unsuspecting bank or downloading sensitive documents with ease from a government database. In modern English, the term hacking can take on several different meanings depending on the context. As a matter of general use, the word typically refers to the act of exploiting computer security vulnerabilities to gain unauthorized access to a system. However, with the emergence of cybersecurity as a major industry, computer hacking is no longer exclusively a criminal activity and is often performed by certified professionals who have been specifically requested to access a computer system's vulnerabilities by testing various methods of penetration. Furthermore, hacking for the purposes of national security has also become a sanctioned activity by many nation states. Therefore, a broader understanding of the term should acknowledge that hacking is often authorized, even if the intruder in question is subverting the normal process of accessing the system. The hats of hacking. Black hat. A black hat hacker is one who is unambiguously attempting to subvert the security of a computer system or information network. The goal of the black hat hacker is to gain unauthorized access to the system, either to obtain or destroy information, cause a disruption in operation, deny access to legitimate users, or to seize control of the system for their own purposes. White hat. A white hat hacker has been specifically authorized by the owner or custodian of a target system to discover and test its vulnerabilities. This is known as penetration testing. The white hat hacker uses the same tools and procedures as a black hat hacker and often has equal knowledge and skills. Consequences of hacking. The consequences of unauthorized computer access range from the minor costs and inconveniences of everyday information security to severely dangerous and even deadly situations. Although there can be serious criminal penalties against hackers who are caught and prosecuted, society at large bears the brunt of the financial and human cost of malicious hacking. Because of the interconnected nature of the modern world, a single clever individual sitting in a cafe with a laptop computer can cause enormous damage to life and property. It is important to understand the ramifications of hacking in order to know where to focus efforts for the preservation of certain computer-related crimes. Hello everyone, welcome to my course. In this lecture, you will learn about vulnerabilities and exploits. Vulnerabilities. Vulnerabilities in computing and network systems always have and always will exist. No system can be made 100% airtight because someone will always need to be able to access the information or services being protected. Moreover, the presence of human users represents a vulnerability in and of itself because people are notoriously poor at practicing good security. As vulnerabilities are discovered and corrected, new ones almost instantly take their place. The back and forth between hacker exploitation and the implementation of security measures represents a veritable arms race, with each side becoming more sophisticated in tandem. Human vulnerabilities. One seldom discussed vulnerability is that of the human user. Most users of computers and information systems are not computer experts or cybersecurity professionals. The majority of users know very little about what goes on between their points of interface and the data or services they are accessing. It is difficult to get people on a large scale to change their habits and to use recommended practices for setting passwords, carefully vetting emails, avoiding malicious websites, and keeping their software up to date. Businesses and government agencies spend a great deal of time and resources training employees to follow proper information security procedures, but it only takes one weak link in the chain to give hackers the window they are looking for to access an entire system or network. Software vulnerabilities. All computers rely on software to translate input or user commerce interaction. Software manages user logins, performs database queries, executes website form submissions, controls hardware and peripherals, and manages other aspects of computer and network functionality that could be exploited by a hacker. Aside from the fact that programmers make mistakes and oversights, it is impossible for software developers to anticipate every feasible vulnerability in their code. The most developers can hope for is to patch and amend their software as vulnerabilities are discovered. This is why it is so important to keep software up to date. Exploits. Finding and exploiting vulnerabilities to gain access to systems is both an art and a science. Because of the dynamic nature of information security, there is a constant game of cat and mouse going on between hackers and security professionals, and even between nation-state adversaries. In order to stay ahead, one must not only stay apprised of the latest technology and vulnerabilities, but must also be able to anticipate how both hackers and security personnel will react to changes in the overall landscape. Hello everyone, welcome to my course. In this lecture, you will learn about the hacker's toolkit. Even armed with knowledge, resourcefulness, and just the right amount of stubborn perseverance, the hacker still needs a certain set of physical tools to conduct an attack. However, hacking does not have to be an expensive profession or hobby. Most of the software tools that a hacker needs can be obtained freely because they are open source products. Nor does a hacker need thousands of dollars in high powered computing equipment. For most attacks, a simple laptop or desktop computer with a reasonable amount of memory, storage, and processor speed will suffice. Operating system and distributions. An operating system is the intermediary between a computer's hardware and software. An OS typically manages the file system, peripheral communication, and user accounts of a computer system, among other responsibilities. There are several brands of operating systems, both commercial and open source, that can be installed on any given computer platform. Microsoft Windows is the most commonly known and installed commercial OS for PC-style systems. Distributions are typically distinguished from each other by their size, user interface, hardware devices, and the software tools that come pre-installed. The operating system on a hacker's attack platform is the heart of his or her toolkit. Kali Linux, known as Backtrack. Kali is a popular open source Linux operating system for hackers. Kali can be installed on a dedicated machine or run from a virtual machine within another operating system. Over the years, Kali has evolved to contain a large array of the most useful vulnerability assessment and exploitation programs. It is one of the first tools that a beginning hacker should obtain. Kali not only provides practice using a Linux platform, but also contains everything a hacker needs to perform some of the most basic lower level attacks in order to gain valuable experience. This figure is a Kali Linux with a menu of tools. Forensic distributions. The Linux OS is also available in several free distributions that are intended to be used for forensic computer analysis. These distributions contain tools that allow security professionals to look for traces of a computer attack on a victim machine. Hackers also use these distributions when they are practicing attacks so that they can learn how to keep from being detected. Virtual machines. Virtual machines are programs that emulate the behavior of certain hardware platforms within the confines of an existing programming system. This allows a user to install several operating systems on one piece of hardware, treating each one as if it were a separate machine. Hello everyone, welcome to my course. In this lecture, you will learn about gaining access. In most cases, the goal of the hacker is to gain access to a system for which they are not authorized. The best way to do this is to exploit vulnerabilities in the system of authentication. These vulnerabilities in most cases lie either in the habits of authorized users or in the coding of the software running on the target server. Hackers are very adept at discovering and learning how to exploit vulnerabilities very quickly, and new ones seem to emerge just as quickly as old ones are mitigated. Social engineering. Human users are often the weakest link in the kill chain of computer security. Many users not only have little understanding of the systems they are using, but they also tend to have little appreciation for the nature of cyber threats and have little desire to take the time and effort to protect themselves. Although people are starting becoming more aware, there are still enough easy human targets around for hackers to exploit. Social engineering is the activity of using simple reconnaissance or deception to obtain passwords or access directly from unsuspecting users. Social engineering requires little technical expertise and is preferred by hackers to the more difficult and risky attacks that entail intrusive methods. Passive password acquisition. Perhaps the simplest type of social engineering is that of guessing an individual's login password. Despite warnings, users continue to use passwords that contain common or easily guessed sequences of characters. The main reason that this practice is so common is that people tend to desire passwords that they can easily recall. Most people have several email and user accounts for both home and work, making it difficult to keep track of them all, and thus may use the same or a similar password for multiple accounts. This practice puts all of their accounts in danger when a hacker successfully obtains the password. Web exploits. There are many kinds of web vulnerabilities and associated exploits, and new ones arise just as quickly as old ones are closed. There are dozens of languages that are pieced together in various combinations to create a website or web application, and vulnerabilities can exist anywhere within that structure. Listed are a few examples of common exploits that illustrate how hackers use vulnerabilities to their advantage. SQL injection. The SQL database query language is widely ubiquitous on the World Wide Web. It is used most often within other web code to manage user logins and database access requests. Since a database query inevitably contains strings which originate from user input, it is naturally vulnerable to manipulation. SQL injection is a web exploitation that takes advantage of the syntax of the SQL language itself. Hello everyone, welcome to my course. In this lecture, you will learn about malicious activity and coding. Malicious activity is thus characterized by the intent to do harm. In hacking, that harm might take the form of the theft of money, property, or reputation. It may also simply amount to sabotage for its own sake or to serve some other cause. Because so many vital systems are now digitized, interconnected, and online, hackers have the potential to do damage on small and large scales. Denial of service attacks. In normal network conversation, typically through TCP protocol, a three-way handshake procedure is expected to occur. During this handshake, a synchronization packet is first sent from the initiator of the conversation to the receiver. This packet contains the IP address of the sender, and a flag within the packet indicates to the receiver that it is indeed an SYN packet. If the SYN packet is successfully delivered and the recipient is ready for communication, it will send an acknowledgement packet back to the sender containing its own IP address as well as a flag indicating that it is an ACK packet. Finally, the original sender will send an ACK packet to the recipient and then normal communication can commence. Sometimes packets are lost in delivery between network nodes for one reason or another. This can occur because of high traffic, because of malfunctions in the network hardware, electrical or electromagnetic interference, and other reasons. Therefore, if a sender does not receive an ACK packet from the intended recipient within a prescribed period of time, it will send out another synchronization request. When a hacker is able to disrupt the handshake process by causing the repeated transmission of SYN and ACK packets, legitimate communication can be significantly slowed down or even stopped entirely. This type of attack is known as a denial of service attack. Basic DOS. The essential idea behind a denial of service attack is to forge the flags within an IP packet header in order to trick a server into transmitting repeated ACK requests. The simplest way to do this is to disrupt the traditional handshake process. When the recipient sends an ACK request back to the original sender, it is expecting another ACK packet in return so that communication can commence. However, if the sender responds with another SYN request, the recipient is forced to respond with another ACK packet. If this back and forth continues, it tries up network resources and ports on the server machine. Distributed DOS. A distributed denial of service attack is one in which a hacker or a group of hackers is able to execute a coordinated DOS attack from a large number of machines working together. The machines transmitting the attack packets can simply overwhelm a target system to the point where the server is unreachable by legitimate users. Hello everyone, welcome to my course. In this lecture, you will learn about wireless hacking. With a copper or fiber-based network, a physical connection is needed for a new machine to join the network. A hacker would normally have difficulty accessing the physical space of a target network and would likely arouse suspicion attempting to connect their own hardware to network cabling. Although the range of Wi-Fi is limited, it is omnidirectional and the radio frequency signals admitted by the server and the various nodes on a wireless network traverse walls and other barriers and can be intercepted by anyone in range. This gives the hacker much more freedom to conduct a network intrusion without being detected. Hacking Wi-Fi. Most Wi-Fi networks consist of a wireless router or a group of wireless routers that are connected to a modem, which is delivering internet access to some physical location. The routers broadcast and receive radio signals on specific channels that carry the appropriate TCP or IP packets to and from other machines and devices that have similar wireless connectivity. All nodes communicating at any given time on the channels associated with the router or routers that are connected to the modem at that location comprise a Wi-Fi network. Wi-Fi encryption protocols. Since Wi-Fi signals are broadcast into the air as opposed to being confined within wires, it is important for the information contained in the signals to be encrypted. The oldest and most common Wi-Fi encryption protocol is wired equivalent privacy. The goal of the WP standard, as the name implies, was to give network users the same amount of security that they would have on a physically connected network. WP is so insecure, in fact, that many Wi-Fi router manufacturers no longer provide that type of encryption as an option on their hardware. Most security professionals recommend that router owners do not use WP when other options are available. Step-by-step instructions and coding examples for attacking WP protected Wi-Fi networks are freely and readily available on the internet. Wi-Fi attacks. In order to conduct a Wi-Fi attack, a hacker needs, at a minimum, a computer that can run scripts which are used to decipher the Wi-Fi password. They also must acquire a special Wi-Fi adapter that can be purchased relatively cheaply. A list of suitable Wi-Fi adapters can be found on hacker resource websites, but in general the adapter must have a feature known as monitor mode in order to be able to execute a Wi-Fi attack. In general, hackers prefer to use some sort of Linux distribution, usually Kali, to conduct a Wi-Fi attack because most of the readily available tools were written for the Linux OS and come pre-installed on Kali. Hello everyone, welcome to my course. In this lecture you will learn about Let Us Hack Wi-Fi. The neophyte hacker should not even think about attempting an attack on a real target as their first foray into hacking. Sufficient tools and technologies exist which are easily obtained and with which various methods can be rehearsed in a virtual environment. This type of practice is essential for the hacker and is more valuable than all of the reading and study one could accomplish. To build confidence and gain appreciation for the nuisance and practical pitfalls, the beginning hacker should aspire to accomplish the simple attacks suggested in the details of the attacks will vary and currently applicable instructions should be researched by the reader, but the general principles of the setup and execution should be fairly universal. Hacking your own Wi-Fi. The purpose of this practice attack is to successfully obtain the password of a WiFi encrypted Wi-Fi network. To minimize risk, the network and any connected devices should be owned or controlled by you or by someone who has given you explicit permission to perform penetration testing. What you need: a computer, a wireless network adapter that supports monitor mode, access to a Wi-Fi router with WiFi encryption, the latest version of Kali Linux. Ensure that the router is set to WiFi and give it a password of your choice. Turn off the internal Wi-Fi adapter on your laptop if you have one. Connect the monitor mode adapter to your attack machine and install any necessary drivers. Be sure the attack computer is in wireless range of the target network. Procedure: follow the Wi-Fi hacking steps. Confirm that the correct password matches the one you set for the network. Repeat the hack using replay-ng for packet injection and compare execution times. Change the length or complexity of the password and repeat the hack, comparing execution times. A virtual Windows vulnerability assessment. Operating systems contain multiple software vulnerabilities that hackers are ready and willing to exploit. When a hacker discovers an unpatched version of an OS, there are a number of commonly available exploits with which to gain access. The first step in deploying those exploits is to analyze the OS for the most glaring vulnerabilities. Kali Linux features natively installed tools that will scan a system and provide a list of vulnerabilities.